Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my April TBR where we will be using my trusty TBR jar to help me pick out my April TBR. But first, my March TBR. Unfortunately, as of right now, I have only read one book on my March TBR and I think that's probably going to be it at this point because not only is the month almost over, but I'm also in the middle of 2 or 3 books. I think only 2 of them were on my March TBR. I just keep picking up books and reading them multiple at a time and I need to stop doing that because it's getting to be too much, okay? But also, one more thing, I did get engaged this past weekend. If you follow me on socials, you already know that, but it felt like the little elephant in the room that I needed to address before getting into this video. But let's just hop right in and we are going to pick our first prompt. Prompt number 1 is a book by one of your favorite authors. Okay, I'm unsure what I would have on my physical TBR. That is a book by one of my favorite authors. Let's see. Actually, Ellen Hildebrand, I would say, is one of my favorite authors, and I have The Blue Bistro by her. That is definitely a top contender. I have not read a ton of Frederick Bachman books, but I would say I do really like his work as well, so I could add A Man Called Ove on here as well. Also, is this cheating? Because I do also really love the Anne of Green Gables series. This is book 4 and it's the next book that I have to read. But this is the only series that I've read from this author, so it kind of feels like cheating for some reason. You know what? Actually, I think I know what I want to choose. I think I'm gonna do The Blue Bistro by Ellen Hildebrand because it's getting really warm here where I live, which means I've been really wanting to go sit by the pool and read with a book, and I feel like this would actually be the perfect book. And just sitting outside by the pool has been on my mind recently, especially because I was literally just looking at the weather for this weekend and I was like, oh hey, maybe potentially if it feels nice enough I could go to the pool and this would be the perfect book to bring with me. I've been trying to read through all of Ellen Hildebrand's books. I believe that this was an older one. I think it was published very early on in her career, but if you don't know anything about Ellen Hildebrand, a lot of her books take place on Nantucket. So this one takes place on Nantucket, which in my opinion is the perfect summer vibe. I have not been to Nantucket, but it is one of those places on my travel bucket list. And so it sounds like she's kind of needing some money. She just moved to Nantucket and then she meets this man who is the owner of Nantucket's hottest restaurant and he offers her a job. And it says they share an instant attraction. So sounds very stereotypical Ellen Hildebrand. A little bit of a romance, a little bit of the characters kind of going through some things. So we'll see, but this is officially our first book on the April TBR. Okay, here is prompt number 2. This is a genre you don't usually read. Okay, I can't even lie right now. My first thought with this one was a nonfiction book, but I don't think I want to add a nonfiction book to my TBR. I feel like maybe I could add a classic. I don't usually read classics, so that could work. Oh, you know what could also work that was on my TBR in March? I could add Credence by Penelope Douglas because I pretty much never read dark romance. I do read a lot of romance, so I feel like this is more of just like a sub-genre, but I feel like that could work for this prompt. See, I've also really been wanting to read The Psychology of Money, which is a nonfiction book. I just don't know if I'm really going to want to pick up a nonfiction book in April. I don't know. I actually feel like I should put Credence on there, even though this feels a little bit like cheating because it is still romance and I read a lot of romance, but I don't really read any dark romance at all. But I feel like I should put this on there because it was on my March TBR and I obviously didn't get to it. And I feel like at this point, like if I'm not going to read the book, I need to just unhaul it. So maybe if I don't read it in April, I'm just gonna get rid of it. I don't know though, because I hate getting rid of books that I haven't read, especially if it's a book that I haven't at least given a chance. Like if I read a couple pages of it and I decide I don't like it, that's fine. I can get rid of it, you know? That I have no issues with, but I want to at least give this one a try. So if you don't know anything about this book, I have heard people say crazy things about this book. Like when I talked about this in my last TBR video, I had people commenting saying like, I'm giving you a warning, girl, like you might not want to pick that up. You know what? It worked. I didn't pick it up. But we're gonna try again in April, but essentially it sounds like our main character is really going through it. Her parents just died and so she goes to live with her father's stepbrother, which is her only living relative. And it says, oh my gosh, I mean, every time I read the back of the book, I am reminded why this just sounds so crazy to me. It says she is 2 months shy of 18, sent to live with him and his 2 sons, Noah and Caleb, in the mountains of Colorado. Terry Ann, I'm not sure if that's how you say that, but she soon learns that these men now have a say in what she chooses to care and not care about anymore, as the 3 of them take her under their wing, teach her to work and survive in the remote woods far away from the rest of the world. She slowly finds her place among them and as part of them. And she also realizes that lines blur and rules become easy to break when no one else is watching. One of them has her, the other one wants her. He's going to keep her. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna add it to the TBR. This is the last time I'm gonna add it to the TBR, okay? If you guys see me still have this book after April and I have not read it, go ahead and comment, say, Morgan, get rid of the book. Okay, girl, it's time. You're not gonna read it. And I can choose to listen to those comments or not. Anyway, this is the second book going on our April TBR. Prompt number 3. Ooh, a book with a 5-word title. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to do some counting here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we finally have one, and it's actually one that's on my radar, so this is really exciting. This is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I might just go ahead and pick this, but also I kind of want to see what other books I have that have 5 words in the title. 7, 3, 5, but I don't think I want to read that. That's a non-fiction book. I don't know if I'm in the mood for that. Actually, maybe. 3, 4, 2, 2, 4. Okay, let's end here. We have 2 options. So we have The Soul of an Octopus, A Surprising Exploration into the Wonder of Consciousness. This book sounds so interesting to me, but like I said, I just don't know if I want to pick up a non-fiction book this month, especially because I'm already kind of slowly reading a non-fiction book right now. That is typically how I read my non-fiction. I will just slowly read it throughout a month, 2 months, 3, 4, etc. depending on how long the nonfiction book is. I normally don't just like sit down and read nonfiction for a long time, which is what makes me hesitant to add it to my monthly TBR. So I think maybe I will end up going with Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. I've been very excited to read this book ever since I saw that Sarah loved this book so much, and me and literally everyone else in the book space trusts Sarah's opinions, okay? So ever since I saw that video, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to read this book ASAP, because I knew it had been sitting on my physical TBR for actually the longest time. Like, I'm kind of embarrassed how long it's been on this physical TBR, like over 2 years, and that might be generous. I think it might be on there for like 3 years. I don't know, but essentially what I remember from this book is that we have our main character, obviously Eleanor, and she is basically living a very repetitive life. I believe she's very unhappy with her life, and then she meets this man and she kind of starts to come out of her shell, do new things. It says that this guy has a big heart and will ultimately help Eleanor find a way to repair her own heart, her own profoundly damaged heart. So it sounds really interesting to me. It also says on the back that it's soon to be a major motion picture produced by Reese Witherspoon. I don't know if I've seen this actually come to fruition. Like, did this actually become a movie? I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But this is book number 3 going to the TBR. Prompt number 4. This prompt actually would have worked perfectly for the last book. This is a book you've had for a long time. Okay, there's definitely a lot of books on here that I've had for a long time. Let's see. Okay, this is just some of the books that I've had for a long time. There are so many books on my physical TBR that I've had for a long time, which is honestly the entire reason that I started posting my TBR takedown series. But when I'm looking at these options here, there's one that I'm like, oh yeah, I've had this ever since it came out. Wait, let me check when it came out actually. That cannot be right. I have had this book since 2015 and I never read it. Yeah, this one is definitely going on our monthly TBR. This is Ghost at a Watchman by Harper Lee, and I actually remember being pretty young and I was very, very excited that this book was coming out because I was actually in love with To Kill a Mockingbird in middle school. That was like my favorite book, and I actually just reread that book for the first time, I think at the end of last year, sometime around there. And I had kept telling myself like, okay, I'm going to read Ghost at a Watchman because I just reread To Kill a Mockingbird. Like, I felt like that was kind of perfect timing, and I don't believe the 2 books are related in the sense that you have to read To Kill a Mockingbird first. I believe though that this is kind of what happens. Oh wait, you definitely do have to read To Kill a Mockingbird first. Yeah, because this is what happens after To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't think they're like in a series though. I don't know. It's been so long, obviously, like literally 2015. That's how long I've had this book. 11 years. Yeah, I'm actually very embarrassed by that. It's going on the TBR and I'm definitely reading it in April because yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'm very embarrassed actually. But literally some of these books have been on my physical TBR for that long. This one might be the oldest though, actually. I hope it's the oldest. I don't know. Yeah, no, I actually think it is the oldest. Maybe not, but we're gonna go with this one anyway. This one is also on my 26 books I want to read in 2026, which I need to start working through that list before it becomes December and I'm looking back and being like, what did I read this year? Because none of these books were on my yearly TBR, you know? So very excited to add this one to my TBR. Also, if you have not read To Kill a Mockingbird, I highly recommend it. Like I said, it was like my favorite book in middle school, and now to this day it is still one of my favorite classics, and I'm not someone that reads a lot of classics, so I feel like having one of my favorite books be a classic says a lot, you know? So highly recommend that one. And I will, of course, let you know my thoughts on Ghost at a Watchman. Okay, prompt number 5. A book in a series. Okay, this is exciting. This will help me out because y'all know I have a lot of series that I'm in the middle of. So let me see. I immediately think of The Death Cure, which is in the Maze Runner series, and I need to get better at like reading series closer together so I don't forget things in between the books. So I should read this one soon. And then again, I could also use Anne of Windy Poplars, but I just read Anne of the Island last month and I'm worried I'm gonna start forgetting. What was the book before this one? I think it was The Scorch Trials right before this one. I'm afraid that I'm going to forget what happened in that book and The Maze Runner if I don't read this one soon, even though I do really miss spending time with Anne in this world. I love the Anne of Green Gables series like a lot. So I'm not gonna put this officially on my April TBR, but it will definitely be in the back of my mind. And if I'm in the mood for it, I'm gonna pick it up, okay? But we are adding The Death Cure to my physical TBR, which like I said, that is book 3 in the Maze Runner series. If you don't know anything about the Maze Runner, it is this dystopian world where you have a group of teenage boys all living together and they are essentially trying to escape through this maze. And then one day, all of a sudden, a girl shows up and everything just kind of becomes chaos. And so you have them kind of dealing with all of these chaotic things and trying to get out of the maze, and they're also just very confused on why this girl just randomly showed up. It is an interesting book. I wouldn't say it's my favorite series of all time, but it is a little bit nostalgic for me because I think it was like middle school when everyone was obsessed with dystopians, and I was also very much obsessed with dystopians, so I really liked those books. And also the movies, which I've been really wanting to rewatch the movies, but I feel like I need to finish reading the book series before I rewatch the movies, so that is very exciting. And we are also going to pick our last prompt for April, which is a book that has a guys, this is a book that has a movie/TV adaptation. I am pretty sure every single prompt in this video, I have been able to use it for the book before. Like, does that make sense? Like, I am pretty sure The Death Cure has a book to movie adaptation. Does it not? Maybe they didn't actually film this movie, but I know the first 2 books in the series have a movie, so maybe that's not true for this. But anyways, let's see what I have here. I mean, I immediately think of A Man Called Ove for sure, and The Handmaid's Tale. I think A Man Called Ove is a movie, and then The Handmaid's Tale is a TV show. There's also Crazy Rich Asians on here as well, but I've seen this movie, and I also don't think I want to start a series right now. Is The Handmaid's Tale a series? Like, I know it's a TV series, but is it just the one book? I don't know. It might be just the one book. I don't know. I think I am going to add The Handmaid's Tale to my TBR though, even though this is another book that scares me. It intimidates me just a little bit because of the synopsis. And essentially this is like a dystopian world. I don't know if this is technically a dystopian, surely it must be, but in this world, women are no longer allowed to read. It says that essentially like they have to get pregnant by the commander because of the declining birth rate. And essentially there's an entire group of handmaids that have to do this, and they have very little freedoms, very little things that they can do. And I guess our main character in this book remembers life before this happened. So it literally sounds exactly how it says on the back. It says funny, unexpected, horrifying, and altogether convincing. Like, yeah, I am interested in this, but I'm also horrified at what is going to happen in this book. So that is all 6 of the books we picked together, but I do actually have 2 library books that I want to talk about. They were both in my March TBR video, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about these books, but I will hopefully read them both very early on in April. I think that these books are due like April 7th, so I do not have a ton of time to read them. I need to really read these, but the first book I actually don't have with me. I left it in my bedroom because I was actually reading it last night. This is Holding Pattern. I'm only like 10 pages into this book. Like, I am very early on into this book. I don't even think I've gotten through a full chapter of this book, but I do a lot of my reading at night, which again, that's why I don't have it with me right now. It's in my bedroom. But with my engagement, I have been very busy, which is very much a good thing. I've just been soaking up this time in my life, so I have not read a ton of that book, but so far it sounds pretty interesting. I honestly can't even remember the synopsis, but the book starts out essentially with this mother and daughter, and they're actually going wedding dress shopping, which is interesting, but the mom is the one getting married, and they kind of are having like a little bit of a tiff. At least so far, they don't seem like they are gonna get along, but like I said, I am very early on into this book, so who knows, maybe they're just having an off day. I don't know. But I also have A Dog's Journey. This is the second book in A Dog's Purpose series, which that book is by far one of my favorite books. If you don't know anything about that book and you haven't seen the movie, honestly, even if you've seen the movie, I feel like you would still really enjoy the book. Granted, I have not seen the movie, but I loved the book so much that I feel like anyone with any type of dog connection would love this book so much. You are literally in the mind of a dog throughout this entire book. Oh my gosh, I just filmed this whole video without my earring in. Whatever, too late now. Anyways, you are in the brain of a dog the entire book, and I've actually been trying to find a book that is like that except for cats. I did read, what was it called? It was where you were in the brain of a cat, which was fun, but it was not as good as A Dog's Purpose. Like I said, that is one of my all-time favorite books. So this is book number 2 in that series, and I'm very excited to see if I like this one just as much. I feel like I have not heard anyone say anything about this book, so I don't know. We'll see. But before I go, let's do a quick rapid fire of my entire April TBR. We have The Blue Bistro, Credence, Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine, Ghost at a Watchman, The Handmaid's Tale, Holding Pattern, Dog's Journey, and The Death Cure. I am so excited for my April TBR. I feel like we have a good array of books here, so hopefully I will check more of these books off than I did in March. But the end of March has been crazy, and I'm sure the beginning of April will be crazy as well. But I am so excited to read all of these books. Let me know which book you think I should read first. Don't forget to comment, like, and hit that subscribe button below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!